Okay, any questions or comments from
Just a comment, and it's not directed to Mr. Arnold. You know what he's saying is trustworthy, but as we have said before, and we'll continue to say again, the lack of procurement process in the county, I truly believe should include every legislator from voting with good conscience on any of the rules contracts that are before us. We're going to continue to ask the county executive to have a process that all can come to an agreement on, which would basically add more transparency to the procurement process here in Nassau County. Until that day happens, we will continue to abstain from all contracts that do not have some level of confidence, whether it's done through a different office or it's done in a manner with being a sole source or something where the RFP process can be changed. Thank you.
Okay, any public comments regarding this item? There being none, all those in favor of B2 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Stay.
Okay, so it's 403. All right, the next group are personal service agreement between the County of Nassau, and the first one, which is E6. It's an agreement between the County of Nassau and Nassau Healthcare Corporation. Motion, please.
So moved.
Moved by legislator Dunn, second by legislator Bell. All right, okay.
Good afternoon, Mary Ellen Marine, Department of Health. Item E6-16 is an amendment to a contract with Nassau Healthcare Corporation in the amount of $3,750,000. This is for mandated public health services pursuant to New York State public health law. And this contract continues the county's current payments to the Healthcare Corporation at a cost of $5 million annually.
Questions or comments?
If I may,
Go ahead,
this isn't here to be something that would go through an RFP. It looks like it was something that was amending a previous contract.
Yeah, Nassau Healthcare Corporation is the preferred vendor.
Preferred vendor. Are they the only vendor or are they preferred?
They are the preferred.
Are there any?
In 1999, the hospital became a public benefit corporation, and pursuant to that, the health centers, which are run by the health department, went under the public benefit corporation, and with that, mandated clinical services such as tuberculosis, HIV, STD, and a few other services went under that public benefit corporation. But because they have mandated public health services, the health department must pay for them.
That I'm aware of. But has the health department ever decided to seek someone else other than the Nassau?
I don't believe we are permitted to do that because the healthcare corporation and the hospital is a preferred vendor. I believe that's in the charter, or somewhere in the county it stated that.
When the healthcare corporation was created?
Yes, I believe that's when it occurred. And we've been providing this since 1999.
I'm aware.
Any other questions or comments?
I'm sorry. One last question.
Yes?
I apologize. Council just reminded me that this is a contract that is expired in, it looks like September 9 of 2015. Why would this legislature take up a contract that's already expired?
It expired, so there was, from 1999 to 2007, and then the 2007 to December 2014, we began the contract negotiation. So there was two amendments in 2015. The first one you heard in November 15, you passed that, and that began in December of 2014, and there was some delays in the processing at the hospital, and they signed it in April. It then went back to the county, and there was some coding problems, and it was sent back, and then the disclosure form delayed it even further.
So this, I just want to make sure, so services have already been rendered.
Services have been rendered because they're mandated by public health law and we are required. We have not paid them.
I'm not implying that they should stop, but now what this legislative body or this committee is being treated as is kind of like a fait accompli. It's already been done, so we might as well pay for it. My understanding is correct?
We are mandated by public health law to provide these services. We cannot let
Then-
people
then-
have
then
TB
this-
and
that's not the point. The point is that this legislature is demanding that this come to us in a timely manner. This should come to us before that happens.
I do agree with you that it should. Unfortunately, there were delays in the process and there were new forms.
But you just described the process where there's delays all the time.
I didn't,
You said that we voted for this late.
because there was two parts to the 5 million agreement. We were going to do it in quarterly installments. We didn't feel that was necessary, so after this contract could not proceed until the First Amendment was approved, and that was the amendment that was delayed. This contract that you're seeing didn't start until December of 15 because the First Amendment was delayed. And once this is approved, we will start the full year of 2016.
I understand your points, but again, I'm very uncomfortable with voting for a contract that's expired, and all these services are extremely important.
Well,
I just would like to think that the health department would treat it with the same importance by getting it to this legislative body.
we absolutely, we had all intentions. We began the process over a year ago. Unfortunately, as I said, there were delays in processing some of the papers and new forms were needed, such as the disclosure form, so it delayed the process.
The disclosure form that the county executive has implemented.
That was in, I believe, June.
That form created
I
the,
believe in June.
but that one form created the discrepancy.
No, there was an initial delay of a few months. There were many changes going on in healthcare and state and federal reimbursement. And I could tell you, though, that this must be provided, and it would jeopardize our state aid package, which is millions of dollars.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of E16-6, signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
Next.
All right. Any abstentions? Wait a minute. Huh? What? Five to one. And now just stay there because I'm going to move
Norma,
the
just say
E10.
that, 6-1, Norma?
6-1. All right. E10, a resolution authorizing the county executive to execute an amendment to a personal services agreement between the county of Nassau, acting on behalf of Nassau County Department of Health and Civic Solutions Group LLC, moved by legislator Dunn, second by legislator Nicolau. Right?
Mary Ellen Lorraine, Department of Health. Item E10-16 is an amendment to a contract with Civic Solutions Group in the amount of $23,111. We are required to do this. This is for Medicaid reimbursement for preschool special education services, and the contractor identifies Medicaid eligible children.
Any questions or comments? Mary Ellen? Legislator
Mary Ellen, I just want to ask you a question, but I hope I'm in the right place. This is E10, right?
Yes.
All right. All right, no, I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. I apologize. I have a comment on something else.
Any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of E10 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any opposed?
We did have a question.
Sorry about that.
A question. Considering that this is a commission-based compensation, did the contractor increase Medicaid reimbursement for Nassau County also?
No, The contractor determined more children who were eligible. That's the reason why the
I see.
amendment.
Okay, good. Good.
I think this is the third amendment, and it's not uncommon. It's very labor intensive, so as they collect information and services,
Special needs.
yes, preschools.
Thank you.
Are you okay? All right, any public comment?
I'm sorry, if you want to say this, this is an art. My stipulation is it's the same thing. We're just making
Special education.
Let's go. We can proceed to environment.
You okay? Judith? Okay, I did ask if there was any public comment. There being none, all those in favor of E10 signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
Did I hear an aye over there? Aye.
Maybe you should leave.
Okay, thank you. The next contract is E7, Personal Services Agreement. Acting on behalf of the Nassau County Police Department, Safe Center. All right, I'm going to see if there's another one, hold on. I'm going to see if there's another one for the police department, so I can put this together here. No, I think not. It's all.
15 is police, 16 is police.
Okay, Lieutenant. I got that right, Lieutenant?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so E7, what can you tell us?
E7 is a personal service agreement between Safe Center and the Nassau County Police Department. Safe Center is formerly known as the Nassau County Coalition Against Domestic Violence. They're going to offer support services with regard to domestic violence, sexual abuse, and child abuse. The contractor will assist the department in its goal of the prevention of abuse by providing a 24-hour helpline to access information, development and dissemination of educational materials, outreach, and counseling and referrals.
Before we even discuss it, I don't believe I took a motion on it. Moved by legislator Nicolao, seconded by legislator Dunn. Okay, you already gave us your description of the item. Any comments or questions from the legislature regarding Safe Center and the police department? Any public comment? Okay, there, any?
This is E15, right?
No, this is E7.
Oh,
This is safe, this is between the police department and the Safe Center regarding domestic violence. Are you there?
Sorry, Carrie.
Got it? You got it? Any questions, comments? No? Any public comments? There being none, all those in favor of E7 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? No? All, okay, just yellow screen. Okay. E8, Personal Services Agreement between the County District Attorney and EAC Inc. Motion, please. Moved by legislator Dunn, second by legislator Nicolao. And who do we have here? Okay.
Bob McManus,
Yes, Bob.
District Attorney's Office. This item is an amendment to an existing agreement with EAC Incorporated to increase the budget by approximately $42,000 to add a re-entry case manager and conflict resolution training. EAC Incorporated has been a partner with the District Attorney's Office for a program for formerly incarcerated individuals who are returning to the community. Our relationship with EAC goes back many years, and our partnership with them was established due to their history of providing services to at-risk populations and their proven track record in the development and implementation of mediation and conflict resolution services.
I have a question.
Funding for this project?
Is from civil forfeiture funds.
and Legislator Solano.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Just want to be clear, the procurement process with this was done with the District Attorney's Office, correct?
That's correct. There was no outside influence or third-party involvement.
Okay, so it wasn't like that Aptech situation?
No, sir.
Okay, good, thank you.
Any public comments? All right, there being none, all those in favor of E8 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The item passes unanimously.
Thank you.
E9, Personal Services Agreement between OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, and the Nassau County Bar Association, assigned council defender plan. Motion, please. Moved by Legislator Nicolau, second by Legislator Gonzalez. All right, who's here to speak on this item? Anyone?
Very short, can't see.
Why don't we get into the material?
Okay, guess what? Motion to table.
So moved.
Motion to table.
So moved.
All right,
Second.
moved by Legislator Dunn, seconded by Legislator Nicolau. All those in favor of tabling E9 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, this is tabled, and we have 1 week which to hopefully get that done. Okay, we're going to E11. Another personal services agreement between the Department of Social Services and Family Focused Adoption Services. Motion, please. Moved by Legislator Capel, second by Legislator Dunn. Okay.
Brendan Road, Social Services. This is the 2016 renewal of the Family Focused Adoption Placement Contract. The vendor provides adoption services to children in the care of DSS. Such services include pre-placement planning, recruitment, evaluation, and counseling.
Any questions or comments regarding this item? Any questions or comments? Any public comment?
Just a quick question.
Yes, quick question. Who says it's a quick question? Okay.
Me, Madam President. Excuse me. Just wanted to make sure we verified that the budget increase from year to year. Looks like it goes going up from 24,840 to, oh, I'm sorry, 82 to 109.
Yes, the budget did go up. The vendor is providing more services to more families.
Oh, so there is more service.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of E11 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? The item passes unanimously. E12, personal service. A special council contract entered into by the Nassau County Attorney and Vecchio and Connors LLC. Motion, please. Moved by Legislator Dunn, second by Legislator Capel. Okay, Lisa.
Good afternoon. This is a special counsel contract amendment to continue to provide legal services by the law firm in the defense of workers' compensation claims. The contract term is only being extended until April 2016. There is currently a new RFP out for legal services, and that vendor law firm will be selected before this extension expires.
Okay. Legislator Nicolau.
I just wanted to ask you, or just comment that this area of law is very specialized, right? There's only a number of law firms that practice workers' compensation.
Correct. And the nature of going before the New York State Board, the complexity of the law, it provides great assistance to not only the county attorney's office, but all the county agencies that go before the board.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Leonardo Vita Pavone.
Mr. Colonel, based on the question I just heard, you said that it was very specialized, but at one time, I guess when it was first issued, this contract, or this law firm, it was actually 3 respondents. I don't know if you're familiar with that. This goes back over almost a decade, but But it seems to me that this could benefit from the possibility of different people being able to do it, rather than continuing to renew the contract with the same firm year after year.
Correct, and that is originally there was an RFP in 2006. The contract lasted for 3 years. It had been extended for a period of time, but a new RFP is, as I spoke earlier before, is out, and we are looking at other firms as well.
Okay. I mean, we'll definitely consider it at a higher level when that time comes, but I would think that at a minimum. And then also, I mean, wasn't there a time when this was done with a county attorney's staff?
That was several years ago. I think it was determined in 2004 by the prior administration that the administration of the workers' compensation claims, as well as providing the legal services, was better served by coupling with a third-party administrator and legal services. The result has been, as you indicated, for the past decade, there seems to have been substantial savings to the county because workers' compensation claims are handled and paid on time, which results in savings to the county. So, for those reasons, it's been determined that we're going to continue to use the third-party administrator as well as seeking the assistance of special counsel.
Thank you.
Any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of E12, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, nays? Okay, 4-3. Okay, the next one is E14, a special counsel contract entered into by Nassau County Attorney and Wilson, Elsa, Moskowitz, Elderman, and Nicker LLP. Motion, please. Okay.
This is another contract amendment to defend the charges for county legislation permitting certain non-for-profits to contribute and pay for their sewer charges. Several non-for-profits, school districts, hospitals sued the county against the implementation of it. We are currently litigating that now, and the purpose of this amendment will determine continuing litigation for this matter.
Any questions or comments of the legislator Jacobs?
Yes. Hi.
Yes.
I want to know something. I'm wondering if you could state on the record what's involved in these cases that requires the county to use outside counsel and not have it in-house. You know, it's been my pet peeve for years.
The criteria for, I'm sorry, legislator, I didn't mean to.
No, get it.
I think you're asking what is the criteria to determine, and the first and foremost of the criteria, there are 3 areas where the county attorney's office would consider going to outside counsel. One is there a conflict of interest. For some reason, we can't represent the defendants. Many times there were multiple defendants, and you want to give each defendant in the county a proper representation, and due to a conflict, that would be one reason. The second reason is there are certain complexities of the litigation that demand time-consuming and particular attention, that because of the high volume of work that is done in the county attorney's office, each county attorney works with the outside counsel, but they can dedicate the resources to, outside counsel can dedicate those resources that in-house counsel may not have the ability to do. But in-house counsel is always partnered with and working with the outside counsel to ensure that the county's policies, interests, and guidance in the litigation is there.
But can I ask you, I just want to on that one. So if you hired more DCAs in the office, wouldn't that help us to avoid the expenses of the outside counsel all the time?
Not necessarily because the particular complexity of a particular area of law may require an expertise, and the expertise of that law firm and their experience in the courtroom adds to the force of the county attorney's ability to defend or to affirmatively assert whatever defenses or legal arguments that we wish to put forth before the court.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
I guess, just a quick
Legislator
question.
Nicolao.
So Dakota, who's on the other side of this case? I mean, who are the attorneys that have hired to sue the county?
There are several that have been retained by the various school districts. Gercio is one, I believe. Harris Beach is another law firm. Harris Beach, as you know, has multiple firms throughout the state of New York. They have well over 200 to 300 maybe within their firms grasp, and that's just two of the firms over the top of my head.
I understand the point that Senator Jacobs makes, but there are some cases in which you would not want to go a DCA up against multiple law firms with multiple resources. I think it's creating a losing proposition, and I think it's going to cost you more money in the end than whatever you're paying for outside counsel. And if you as an individual had the ability to do this, you would do it without even thinking about it, as opposed to just keeping it in-house.
Legislator Jacobs.
Just one follow-up. Lisa, I'm sorry, I cut you off because I asked you a question. You gave me two of the three, conflict of interest, too time-consuming, and three would be what?
Sorry, legislator, a combination of both. Sometimes there's a conflict, and sometimes it's the complexity.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Any public comments? There being none, all those in favor of E14 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, is it 4 to 3?
Yes.
Okay, E, now I'm going to call the personal services agreement from E15, E16, E17, E18, E19, E20, E21, and E22. They are all personal services agreements between Nassau County acting on behalf of the police department and different towing agencies, correct? And so, a motion please for all of those items, E15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. Motion. Moved by legislator, seconded by legislator Capel and Gus. Okay. Okay, Lieutenant.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant Craig Stefanoff. E15, as well as the 7 after. E15 is a personal service contract between Bill's Towing and the Nassau County Police Department to provide impound services. This is an extension of the current contract that we're using to cover the period until we get the new contracts in place. The new contracts will take effect with the rezoning of the impound zones to separate the Long Island Expressway, as was done in a prior item, separates the LIE and the 135, and the new contracts will go forward with those new zones. So this will cover the current zones with the current contracts for just a time period until the new contract takes effect.
Legislator Capel.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant. My question is that these towing services make money from the car owners on each tow, isn't that right?
Yes.
So why are we required to fund them as well? Would there not be bidders even if we didn't provide money out of the county money for these services? Did we ever try, in other words, to go out to bid and require them to provide these perhaps slight extra services without charge?
Well, these are revenue contracts. We collect for the zones.
Yeah.
And then in turn they collect from the motorists, to make the money back.
So there's no net cost to the county?
The only tows that we pay for tows if we impound for evidence, where we need a car for evidence, then we're responsible for the tow. But other than that,
And that's what these fees are for. So that the money that you're asking us to approve now?
Yeah, some of it is to pay, yeah, it's to pay the, so in the case that we impound the car for our
Right, so
use.
what I'm asking you is that, could we not require them to, in the next RFP, to provide those services without charge, because they're getting the
But they also pay us monthly for each zone that they win a bid on.
okay, all right.
So we collect in that respect.
Okay,
And then it's an unknown number, what we're gonna need to impound for evidence.
so they're taking this money into account when they do the bid?
Yes,
Okay.
Does that apply to all of these towing agencies?
Yes.
What you just said? All right, any other comments or questions, Legislator
Yes.
Dunn?
Yeah, just to let you know that, maybe let the towing companies know that Legislator Carmen and I are working on legislation that will, I believe we do it already, that the tow company is to pick up the glass and debris after an accident. They tow the cars or vehicles to anywhere they tow them to. Right now, you already have a practice in place, but there is no law saying that it has to be done.
well,
Okay, there's some non-county tow companies that do this. We're going to provide legislation for that. We're looking at other different things too.
Okay.
But that-
Okay, I'm
so-
going to follow up on that one. The contract that we have with these agencies, is there provision in that contract that they would do such a thing?
yes, that, we put in there, they're required to, if there's debris caused by that accident, they clear the roadway, they broom the street to clear that roadway, the glass or whatever debris.
Let's say if there's an oil spill or gasoline spill?
Yep.
they would
Well,
be
in the
obligated-
case of something like that, like maybe a hazmat, like oil or something that's, you know, we have emergency service, the fire department that can come in and assist with that. But as far as just the debris, like if it's broken glass, windshield glass, something, you know, parts that fell off the car, that's cleared by the tow companies.
Okay, and it's in their contract.
Yes.
Any other comments or questions?
Yes.
Legislator Salamis?
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Are vendor evaluation forms provided in the backup here?
Well, these are extensions. This was done on an RFP originally with the contract we're currently using, and they were evaluated and awarded. This is just a small extension to cover a time period until, and we're going to put a new contract for all the zones. I anticipate the next leg session that will include, you know, an RFP and then include the evaluations for the new contracts.
But are the vendor evaluation forms required with extensions?
We just extend, no, because we're extending. We're going off the current contract to extend the same terms.
I've been advised that the controller specifically requires them for
I
extensions.
know. But Lieutenant, these are extensions. Prior to the extension, there must have been an evaluation for each of these companies.
Yes.
Okay, and that's also part of our backup?
Yeah, it should be in the package, the original contract.
All right, okay.
It wasn't done for the extensions, it was done on the original contract. Yes.
Okay.
But as for the extensions, no evaluations were performed. Just to be clear, is that correct?
No, not for the extensions.
Okay. And my question is, and how do we know to extend that? You know, I need enough information in order to make this vote on this extension, and I don't have that information.
Well, because we're currently, we have RFPs out for a new company. With redesigning the zones, with separating the LIE and 135, that the evaluations got delayed. We also had to re-inspect the impound yards for the new companies, and we also had to update the paperwork. So it pushed us past the current contracts for the current contractors and tow contractors. So we're just asking for a small extension just to cover that time period. Because the ability for us to impound is important, to get cars off the road, to keep traffic moving.
Any other comments or questions, any public comments? Now remember, I blocked all of these together, so So if there are any questions, I would say that they're pretty much related to each of these contracts.
Yes, they're all identical except for each one is a different company.
Okay, that sounds good to me. All right, then. Okay, then, all those in favor of E15, E16, E17, E18, E19, E20, 21, 22, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, so we have what, 4-3? Okay, 4-3. All right. All right, let's go to, thank you, Lieutenant. The next one is E23, Personal Services Agreement between the County of Nassau acting on behalf of the Department of Social Services and EAC, Inc. A motion, please. Moved by Legislator Dunn, seconded by Legislator Nicolella. Okay?
Brendan Roach, Social Services. This is an amendment to add an additional $16,667 to the EAC Child Support Contract. It's adding enhanced vocational services for non-custodial parents paying child support.
Okay. While you're up there, I believe you can respond to E26, another personal services agreement between the County of Nassau acting on behalf of the Nassau County Department of Social Services, Mercy First.
Yes, this is...
Okay, I need a motion. Moved by Legislator Dunn, second by Legislator Gonzalez. Okay. What can you tell us? Anything?
Okay, this is our 2016 contract with Mercy First to provide 6 beds for non-secure detention services, which is for the placement of persons in need of supervision and juvenile delinquents placed by family court.
Any questions of Mr. Britton? Minority Leader Abraham.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Let's start with E23-16. This is a contract with EAC, Education and Assistance Corporation, to provide education employment programs to provide alternative methods of obtaining child support. I think the program is definitely worthwhile. I just wanted to make sure I got a thorough understanding of the actual process to award the contract.
There was an RFP issued for 2015. EAC was the only vendor who responded to that.
Why wouldn't you reissue the RFP?
It was just reissued in 2015.
Oh, so when was it first issued, I should say?
We do it every 4 or 5 years. I don't know exactly when, but I could find that out for you.
So I guess 4 or 5 years ago it was issued, and
we just recently in 2015 reissued an RFP.
No, look, can I finish my question? Thank you. So 4 or 5 years ago it was issued, and do you know how many respondents were at that time?
At that time, I don't.
I mean, I value the contract, but as I said before, with the procurement process here in Nassau County, I'm inclined to vote abstention.
Mike?
Just that EAC actually provides a number of different services for the county, and they do a fine job. And if anyone hasn't had the opportunity among us to go with them when they do that Meals on Wheels, you should do it, because it really opens your eyes. So.
I mean, as I said before, I know EAC for quite some time. They provide services in my district. This is not about EAC. This is about the lack of a procurement process. And obviously, I think every single legislator should take light in the fact that we do not have a secure procurement process here in this county. No one could argue that point. So that's the point going forward. Until we have that process in place, I'm inclined to vote against that.
There being no other comments, all those in favor of E23 and E26 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Okay, so we have 4-0-3 vote for no.
Thank you.
We have 2 others that we can call together, that's 2 other personal services agreements or special counsel contract, E24, E25, between the entered into by the Nassau County Attorney and Canone Lopes, Devereaux, and West. And that was E24, E25 is a contract entered into by Nassau County Attorney and Pernod Ricard, Devereaux and West LLC. Motion please for both of them. Moved by legislator Dunn, second by legislator Capel, and okay, Mr. Kerr.
Yes. E24 is a contract to continue, is an amendment to continue services and extend services on the county sewer contract and sewer operation. E25 deals, is another amendment to continue to provide legal services as the county continues to develop and redevelop the hub and Coliseum area. There are various aspects of which they are the law firm is working in conjunction with the county attorney's office. There has been, within the hub, there's been an RFP as they develop, or as the expiration of the Triton facility contract is coming up. They have been assisting us in finalizing that RFP, which was issued this month, and they will work with us ultimately when the vendor is selected. With regard to the sewer contract, jumping back to the sewer contract, they are working on several aspects of the continued operators agreement with the county and the continued development of the sewer system under that operators agreement. Specifically, they're helping us with negotiations with the city of Long Beach regarding possible consolidation of the county sewers, including the city of Long Beach, and other management issues as the operators agreement continues to go forward.
Any questions or comments regarding these two items, E24, E25? Any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of E24 and E25 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any? Ayes. Any abstentions? I guess is 4 to 3 on these two items. E27, thank you. E27 is a personal services agreement between the Department of Public Works and H2M Architects and Engineers. Motion, please. Moved by legislator Dunn, second by legislator Capel, and we have Mr. Arnold.
E27 is a design contract with H2M for the design of the replacement bulkhead along the Glen Cove sewage treatment plant. The Glen Cove bulkhead was found to be in poor condition at its last evaluation, so the firm will be designing it and will be going out to bid once that design is complete. H2M was the lowest responsible designer chosen.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Arnold? Yes, sir.
Just, Mr. Arnold, on the interdepartmental memo approving the award of this contract, who signed off on it? We just can't make out the name.
The memo was signed by the commissioner.
Signed by
authorized by the Rob Walker.
And who?
Usually Rob Walker authorizes all the.
Is that his signature on the interdepartmental memo?
I would not know for sure. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know either. We were trying to get an answer to that.
I would assume so because on the RTR, the it that follows is very similar, and he only signs on the RTR. Nobody else in his office signs on those.
Just curious. So the Deputy County Executive is going to continue to sign off on Public Works, interdepartmental memos? Going forward, I guess?
Well, he authorizes anything over $100,000. He's required to authorize.
There's nobody. Okay.
Any other comments or questions regarding this item? Any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of E27 signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
All right, the item passes 4 to 3. And the last, but I'm sorry, thank you, Mr. Arnold, is E28, a personal services agreement between the County of Nassau acting on behalf of the Nassau County Fire Commission and the Nassau County Vocational Education and Extension Board, better known as V, moved by legislator Dunn, seconded by legislator Michelle. Okay.
Good afternoon, members. John Priest, Assistant Chief Fire Marshal. The item before you is the annual contract with VEEB to furnish training through the Nassau County Fire Service Academy to the Fire Department's 71 volunteer fire departments.
Any questions of Mr. Priest on this item? Any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of E28 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Great, the item passes.
Thank you. Wish you all a happy new year and a good year
Thank
coming
you,
up.
John. Thank you very much. Let's go. We have one item that we tabled, and I believe we have E9, which is the, I need a motion to untable E9, please. Moved by legislator Capel, seconded by legislator Dunn. All those in favor of untable E9 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, now, who's here to speak on it?
I am going to speak, Madam Presiding Officer, on behalf of Budget, and ask me and authorize me to speak on their behalf. This is a contract with selected counsel for 18B. That is a mandate from New York State that services be provided for the indigent, that is those individuals who cannot afford legal counsel on their own. The county can either provide on their own, or they're permitted under the statute to contract. The county is traditionally contracted. We usually have 2 selected vendors in the event that there is a conflict of interest. The vendor here selected is, I'm sorry, the Bar Association of Nassau County.
Okay, any questions or comments regarding this item?
Yes, if I may.
Yes, Bernardo.
Mr. Colonel,
Yes.
just a point of clarification. This particular contract is with the Bar Association, and from your standpoint, is there any other entity the county could contract with on this particular service that they provide in regards to 18B service?
Actually, the county does, in my remarks, the county contracts with 2 providers. One is the Nassau County Bar Association. The other usually is Legal Aid Society. And the reason we do that is potentially there could be conflicts of interest. Why the Bar Association and Legal Aid, Bar Association in particular is such a large entity, it reaches out to a vast variety of attorneys in multiple disciplines, so we believe they can provide the services needed, because it's not just limited to, for example, family court. It'd be contractual, criminal, family, all facets of law where an individual needs counsel but unfortunately cannot afford it on their own, and the state has created the statute to provide those services.
I guess what I was driving at, outside of Legal Aid and the Bar Association, you don't see too many other entities being able to provide this level of...
Probably none of that, with that size and breadth
groups
and specialized areas of law that would be covered.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions, or any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of E9 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the item passes unanimously. And I believe that ends the Rules Committee. Motion to adjourn. Moved by legislator Dunn, second by legislator now. Yes. All those in favor of adjourn?
Well, if I may, before we adjourn, because I don't think I can speak after we adjourn, I just want to make sure that the committee knows, and also for our members that are part of the full legislature, that I believe we have the answers we need for the 2 CRPs that were tabled,
I know.
that were not called.
I know.
I was going to ask respectfully if they're going to be called.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's why I'm adjourning this meeting.
Okay, I just want
And then
to
we'll go
make
back to
sure.
the other one.
I didn't know you were going back to the other one.
Yes, we have to.
Oh, we have, I didn't know you were going to. I'm always committed to it. And plus my commitment's not done.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm not waiting for
We'll be able to determine that once
Go
we
right
get
in
to
the middle. All right. Okay, now we're going back, and I believe, we're going back to the full letter. So we are now reconvening, and let's see. And I believe the two items that were questioned, I think we want to go by emergency for them, and primarily because, we said that there were questions that needed to be addressed, and so I believe the amendments have been brought down to us. Do we have the amendment?
I do have that.
Yeah, do you have that? Okay. Okay, all right. That's for which ones now, no, Bill?
I have. The one that I think we had done for you was on 46 and 47, but which we had given the chart out to everybody this morning, and then the county executive filed the two items that needed the amendments and has them as emergency resolutions. I believe that, are they the water pollution
Those are
and the Paul Washington
13,
Library?
Resolution 13, I believe, that has to do with the Great Neck Water Pollution Control District. And then there's one more, and I believe it was, Fort Washington. Which one was the other one? The Fort Washington, item 18, resolution 7. And an amendment needed to be filed, and I believe we have gotten the amendment, so now we have to, where is the amendment? Mr. Muller, I believe they filed the amendment, and now that's an amendment in the nature of a substitution, correct?
Yes.
All right, and then we have to do, this is for 13 and 18.
Sure.
Okay.
Do you want us to do them together, or?
Yes, please.
Presiding officer, we have an emergency that comes by way from the recommendation for the county executive. It's an emergency resolution declaring an emergency for immediate action upon a resolution authorizing the county executive to execute an intermunicipal agreement with the Great Neck Water Pollution Control District in relation to installing a new concrete ramp and miscellaneous architectural upgrades. Also on the calendar today for an amendment is an emergency resolution, which will be emergency resolution declaring an emergency for immediate action upon a resolution authorizing the county executive to execute an intermunicipal agreement with the Port Washington Public Library to renovate the children's room of the Port Washington Public Library.
Motion? So moved by legislator Travell.
Norma?
By legislator Walker. And all those in favor of the two emergencies signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so the emergency has been, so those two items have been established. Now let's go back to 13 and 18. I believe there was an amendment for both items, correct? So we have to offer an amendment in relation to substitution? Hold on. All right, here we go. What I'm going to do, I'm going to read both of them and put them into the record, which would be item 13, resolution 2, which is the intimate IMA with the Great Neck Water Pollution Control District in relation to installing a new concrete ramp and miscellaneous architectural upgrades. And the other was the IMA with the Port Washington, which is 18, item 18, resolution 7. An item A with the Port Washington Public Library to renovate the children's room of the Port Washington Library. Hold on, the amendments were noted on clerk item 24, there's 16, and the timestamp is January 25th at 4:30, and the other one is, this was for, the other one was 3. Clerk item 3, and the staff, I believe, is pretty much the same, January 25th, 2016, 4:30 p.m. All right, so the amendments have been duly filed, and a motion please to accept the amendments. Motion, please, moved by legislator Dunn, second by legislator Capel. All right, any questions, any comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Items 13 and 18 have now been approved. So, okay, so they are. Okay, now a motion to adjourn.
We have an emergency.
Where? Again, we have to establish the emergency, please.
And there's two to correct petitions, just with different towns, then we just pull them together.
Yes, please.
Cool, thank you. Presiding officer, we have a request for an emergency to declare from the county executive on two items. Clerk, item number 4616 or 4716. A resolution to authorize the county assessor and/or county treasurer and the receiver of taxes of the town of Hempstead to correct the erroneous assessments of taxes according to petitions of the county assessor on specific property situated in various school districts assessed to designated owners appearing in the assessment rolls for the specified school and/or county years pursuant to the resolution, pursuant to the real property tax law, the county government law of Nassau County, and the Nassau County Administrative Code. The other emergency resolution is he's requesting a resolution to authorize the county assessor and/or the county treasurer and/or the receiver of taxes of the town of Oyster Bay to correct erroneous assessments and taxes in accordance with the petitions of the county assessor on specific properties situated in various school districts assessed to designated owners appearing on the assessment rolls for the specified school and/or county years pursuant to this resolution, pursuant to the real property tax law, the county government law of Nassau County, and the Nassau County Administrative Code.
Motion to establish the emergency, moved by legislator Capel, second by legislator Nicolau. All those in favor of establishing the emergency for these two items signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the emergency has been established. Now for the items. You're not going to give them again.
No, I don't think.
Item 46 and 47, he just read them into the record. Unfortunately, I think it's over. Is there any public comment on these two items? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. We need a motion for items 46 and 47, moved by legislator Capel, second by legislator Nicolau. And now, do we have anyone to speak on these two items? Okay, and this is here, and I believe legislator Nicolau has a question.
Certainly, legislator.
I guess just, if you could just explain the...
Explain. This is a correction of errors that the Department of Assessment normally does. The reason why we're doing it by emergency is because we want to take advantage of the opportunity if we can make this correction while the tax bills are still waiting or in the period to be paid. We can get a corrected tax bill out to the taxpayer so they can pay on the corrected tax bill in time, and they don't have to get a refund. And so that's the reason we wanted to do it as quickly as possible.
What was it that led to the erroneous assessments?
There,
it's been in the newspaper, so you can tell us what it is.
My understanding was that for the general tax bill, the 2016 general tax bill, there was a computer glitch that put additional properties on the tax warrant that shouldn't have been there. They were attributed to certain property owners that shouldn't have been. In essence, it was an overbilling. So, for example, you might have received, particularly this was in the area of sewer charges, so you might have received a sewer charge for A as well as B, tax and jurisdiction, and you shouldn't have. People should have only received a sewer charge for A. So what this correction of error will do is indicate that there are not to be two sewer charges for A and B, only one sewer charge.
Right, now that leads me to my question, which is, question. What are we doing to make sure this computer glitch does not occur again?
The Department of Assessment IT department is working with our outside vendor. As you know, or you may not know, the Department of Assessment runs the assessment roll through the ADAPT system, which was a multi-billion-dollar system that was acquired during the reassessment phase. We are going to have our IT department work with Tyler to determine that the exact cause of the error of why it was listed twice, and to make sure it doesn't happen again.
So we do want assurances, and instead the county attorney's office, we want assurances from assessment that whatever it is that caused this glitch, this problem with the software, that it's been fixed and it's not going to happen going forward.
Absolutely, and if it's possible.
Thank you.
Legislator Ford, and then you legislator.
All right, thank you.
I understand that, especially for the properties in question, that we have pushback when the taxes are due.
Correct. That was, normally taxes are due February 10th. There was a lawsuit between Town of Hempstead and subsequently Town of Oyster Bay, which the time to pay their taxes was pushed from February 10th to March 1st.
That only gives 3 weeks. What happens though? Because it is a confusion, it's causing a lot of concern. You know, I'm sure Legislator Whitten is getting the same emails and calls from residents in HUD district as well as, you know, in mine. And, you know, I just want to make sure that when are you sending out the corrected tax bills?
Well, once the legislature here votes on the correction petition, that will then immediately be sent to the Town of Hempstead and Town of Oyster Bay. We will be coordinating with their receiver of taxes so that they can issue the corrected tax bills as quickly as possible, and within the time frame that the taxpayers with the corrected tax bills have to pay, so that they're not in any way put out here.
And I just want to, you know, for me, I just want to be quite clear that it's nice that you push back the time that their taxes are due. But, you know, it was the error on the part of the county, okay? We committed this error. So I want to be assured of that not one resident who got this incorrect tax bill will be punished or fined in any way. You know, so that if they forget or they got confused and they sent in the wrong amount, and then the town of Hempstead pushes it back because it's not the right amount, and then they end up sending it in, maybe they'll get it in after March 1st. I want to make sure that not one person pays more than what they are supposed to have been paid if the tax bills went out correctly.
Hopefully, legislator, that the corrected tax bills will go out and that no taxpayer will have to pay the incorrect amount.
All right, so when the tax bills go out, they went out when? When did it start? I guess it was either this week or last week, correct?
Last week. Normally, when the tax warrant was passed, as it always is for the general tax bill in December, there are 10 days from the receipt of that warrant that the town receivers send out the tax bills.
Okay.
So the tax bills have been going out in the past 2 weeks. Hempstead and Oyster Bay got a little bit of an extension of time, but many of the tax bills have already been out. They will be, the receivers of taxes will be communicating with the taxpayers. They were, many of the taxpayers called the Department of Assessment and or the receiver of taxes, and immediately we were on top of it to ensure that the correct information was given to them so that they're expecting the corrected tax bills so that they will pay the corrected amount.
Without penalizing, but
without penalty.
So what you're going to do is after this, tomorrow, you're going to send out, you have all the corrected tax bills to be sent to the receiver of taxes in the towns?
The town receivers send out the tax bills. We can only give them the warrant so that they have then the authority to send out the corrected tax bill. I'm sure the receivers, because they're aware of the problem and we've been coordinating with them, identifying the properties, they're probably already loading up the tax bills, but the receivers of taxes have to send it out. We, the county, can't.
All right, but I just want to make sure that not one person who got an incorrect tax bill pays one additional penny more than what they were supposed to have paid. Okay?
We're endeavoring to do that.
Right then.
Legislator DeRicci Whitten.
Thank you. Lisa, are we sure that these are the only taxpayers that were billed incorrectly?
The Department of Assessment has identified all the parcels. There are 880 parcels. The majority of the parcels fall between two specific areas, Lido Beach and Seacliff. So those areas have been identified, and assessment is confident they've identified all the properties.
Well, it's also Glen Cove and Glen Head. It's been the whole town of Oyster Bay, like a big portion of the town of Oyster Bay.
In the petition, I don't have
Yeah, I have
the
that.
different properties, but all the properties that are in the petitions are the ones that were identified as where the problem existed.
Did anyone go back and just make sure that the glitch didn't happen with any other properties? Or?
Yes, they did. Department of Assessment did that.
Okay, and I think legislative board touched on a lot as far as they'll be notified the towns and cities and
We are correct.
immediately tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely. We've been coordinating with assessment. first learned of the issue, and we started getting phone calls. We immediately began to coordinate with the town receivers. So yes.
And on a related subject, I've been receiving a number of correspondence from various attorneys. With the LIPA pilot, do we have any idea what the county's going to be doing? Do you believe the county might pursue a lawsuit against LIPA for the discrepancies in their notes?
The county is still examining filing a lawsuit with LIPA on that issue.
Do you have any idea of, because I could talk about calls, that's my number one problem right now. So do you have any idea if we're going to have an answer anytime soon?
Yes, we should have it soon.
Can I ask you, as a personal favor, let me know when you know,
Absolutely.
because that is a major thing. And Norma,
Let us all know.
let us all know,
Absolutely.
of course. I'm sorry, but Norma, I just wanted to thank you also. Ellen will also, but we
Oh,
appreciate you doing that.
Okay? We just have to make sure we get our, items correct.
No, I appreciate it, but thank you for rushing it. I appreciate it.
Okay. No other comment, public comment? There being none, all those in favor of item 46 and 47 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That be unanimous. A motion to adjourn, please. That was unanimous, but the two items. Okay, motion to adjourn. Moved by Bill, second by everybody. Take all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Not opposed. Please stay home, now that it's dark, that we go down.
Put your hand. I'm just going to ask Wade what the best way is.
Then I'll find out.
I know.